Harriet, welcome back. We've been dying to hear about your venture in Ladakh, India. How was the experience?
Overall, amazing. Quite different to any other safari experience I've ever done. Even different to tiger safaris in India that I enjoyed last year. Yeah, overall, amazing, definitely.
So what was the main goal of your journey over there?
So predominantly is to see snow leopards and kind of going in with, I guess, lower expectations to see snow leopards. They are known as the ghost of the mountain. So yeah, just kind of managing that, I guess. But yeah, we were very lucky.
Could you walk us through what a typical day looked like during your stay at the Snow Leopard Lodge?
Sure, so you wake up about 5:36, have a tea in the room just to sort of warm up, start the day, and then it's off to the viewing platform, which is located just outside of the lodge. You're there for about 45 minutes, just kind of chatting with the spotters, getting an idea as to sort of what activity they've seen with the snow leopards, if any. Snow leopards are on the move, predominantly dawn and dusk, so yeah, it's all about kind of what the day looks like based on those sightings. Then heading back to the lodge for breakfast, and then I guess the excitement builds as to sort of what you're going to do for the day, where you're going to go. You might stay local to the lodge within the valley, or you could drive. I think the furthest we drove was actually about an hour and a half, purely dependent on what the spotters have seen. So every day is definitely different, but I think that's what made it really exciting, just to kind of, not have too much repetition in the trip.
And what were your thoughts on the places you stayed at? Were any of the accommodations, did they really impress you?
Yeah, definitely. Overall, all of the accommodation, I'd say, was, met my expectations. The Grand Dragon in Leh was brilliant. Perfect place to acclimatise. Has lovely facilities, lovely food. You have to stay within the hotel initially, just purely because of altitude, but the actual sort of settings of the Grand Dragon were beautiful. The main lodge we stayed in, so the Snow Leopard Lodge in Uli Valley, that was beautiful, very cosy, very warm. The staff were brilliant. So yeah, overall, all the accommodation was perfect.
Given the high altitude and rugged terrain of Ladakh, how did you find the physical demands of the hikes and the wildlife tracking activities?
So yeah, there is, obviously you're travelling up to, I think the highest point was 4,100 metres above sea level. So taking into consideration altitude, there isn't a huge amount of hiking, if I'm honest. You're more travelling in the car, so you'll have a car at your disposal, and that's purely dependent again on where the snow leopards are, what other wildlife is being seen as to sort of how far you travel. There might be a light sort of walk that you do, but you do have to bear in mind that walking in altitude can be very, very tiring. Your legs feel very heavy. You can get knackered quite quickly. So yeah, travelling around is mainly via car, and then obviously you're kind of based and set up camp depending on what you've got in front of you.
Good. And what were the encounters with the snow leopards like, if there were any at all?
So yeah, I am very excited to say I saw 2 snow leopards, which I wasn't expecting, to be honest. So the 2 encounters were actually really different, which is great to talk about. So the first encounter, I'd say probably about 500 metres away. You could just about see her with the naked eye, but you needed a scope or a really, really good lens. We spent about 7.5 hours with her, which was pretty incredible. She was injured, so she was lame, so she kept kind of walking, having a rest, having a wash, and then kind of getting back on her feet and then taking a break. So I think because she was injured, we got to spend more time with her, which was amazing. And then the second encounter was very different. We'd spent that day probably, on the road, and we visited quite a few different sites, no luck. Everyone was feeling a bit sad that we hadn't seen another one. And then we got a call on the walkie-talkie and drove 40 minutes quite quickly as the sun was going down, and we got a 15-minute encounter. Yeah, we managed to get a short clip of a video just saying, put up her tail, a bit of a stretch, and then she went behind a rock. But I think both encounters were so interesting to see, like, you know, what day to day is like when you're snow leopard tracking. They were so different, and that I think was really, really good to see.
Did you have any encounters with the local wildlife beyond the snow leopards?
We saw golden eagles, Himalayan fox. There are apparently a local pack of wolves, about 13, that kind of circulate the area quite often, but unfortunately we didn't see them. But yeah, bird life is fantastic in the area. So I guess, as well as, you know, being very lucky to see the snow leopards, we were definitely sort of, you know, entertained and occupied by other wildlife, definitely.
Overall, how does Ladakh stack up as a travel destination in your book?
It stacks up pretty well, yeah. I'd 100% go back. I'd recommend it. It's something different. It's such a beautiful, beautiful destination. You've got the Himalayan ranges just surrounding you. There are other things you can see and do, you know, visit monasteries and work out different activities to do in Leh whilst you acclimatise before heading up to Uli Valley. But yeah, overall, it's a beautiful, beautiful destination, yeah.
And finally, what kind of client would you recommend this trip for?
I definitely say it's more of an expedition safari, I would say. It's not your, I guess, safari where you would, it's quite relaxed and, you know, morning and afternoon, game drives. You do need to be prepared, obviously, for altitude. There are a few sort of different symptoms that can occur, not with everyone, but definitely. So I'd say it's something that a client would want if they want something a bit different.
Slightly more of the adventurous,
definitely,
kind of ready to hike or walk a little bit.
And be very patient. Be patient and be prepared. You know, every day is going to be very different. As you can tell from my experience, you know, the 2 encounters I did see, I was very lucky. There could be an opportunity where you don't see a snow leopard, but I can't, you know, emphasise enough the experience in itself was incredible. Yeah.
Oh, well, thank you so much, Harriet. It's lovely to hear.